Septimus, what is carnal embrace?
Carnal embrace is the practice of throwing one's arms around a side of beef.
Is that all?
No. A shoulder of mutton, a haunch of venison well hugged.
Is it a sin?
I thought you were finding a proof of Fermat's last theorem.
It is very difficult, Septimus. You'll have to show me how.
If I knew how, there would be no need to ask you. Fermat's last theorem has kept people busy for the last 150 years, and I had hoped it would keep you busy long enough for me to read Mr. Chater's poem in praise of love with only the distraction of its own absurdity.
Oh, Mr. Chater has written a poem.
He believes he has written a poem, yes. I think there might be more carnality in your algebra than in Mr. Chater's couch of errors.
Oh, it was not my algebra. I overheard Jellyby telling Cook that Mrs. Chater was discovered in carnal embrace in the gazebo.
Really? With whom did Jellyby happen to say?
What do you mean, with who?
With what? Exactly so. The idea is absurd. Where did this story come from?
Miss Noakes.
Miss Noakes?
Papa's landscape gardener. She was taking bearings in the garden when she saw, through her spyglass, Mrs. Chater in the gazebo in carnal embrace.
And do you mean to tell me Miss Noakes told the maid?
No, Miss Noakes told Mr. Chater. Jellyby was told by the groom who overheard Miss Noakes telling Mr. Chater in the stable yard.
So thus far, the only people who know about this are Miss Noakes, the landscape architect, the groom, the maid, and Mrs. Chater's husband, Pope.
And Arthur, who was cleaning the silver, and the boot boy, and now you. I believe you have not been candid with me, Septimus. A gazebo is, after all, not a meat larder.
I never said my definition was complete.
Is carnal embrace kissing?
Yes.
And throwing one's arms around Mrs. Chater?
Yes. Now, Fermat's theorem.
I thought as much. I hope you are ashamed.
I, my lady?
If you do not teach me the true meaning of things, who will?
Yes, I am ashamed. Carnal embrace is sexual congress, which is the insertion of the male genital organ into the female genital organ for purposes of procreation and pleasure. Fermat's last theorem, by contrast, asserts that when x, y, and z are whole numbers, each raised to the power of n, the sum of the first two can never equal the third when n is greater than 2. Nevertheless, that is the theorem.
It is disgusting and incomprehensible. Now, when I am grown to practice it myself, I shall never be able to do so without thinking of you.
Thank you very much, my lady. Was Mrs. Chater down this morning?
No. Tell me more about sexual congress.
There is nothing more to be said about sexual congress.
Is it the same as love?
Oh, no. It is much nicer than that. I am teaching, gentlemen.
Beg your pardon, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Chater said it was urgent he received his message.
Oh, very well. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chater asked me to bring him your answer, sir.
My answer? Well, my answer is, as is my custom and my duty to his lordship, I am engaged until 11:45 in the education of his daughter. When I am finished, and if Mr. Chater is still there, I would be happy to meet him in the gun room.
I will tell him so, sir.
Jellyby, what is for dinner?
Boiled ham and cabbages, my lady, and rice pudding.
Goody.
Well, so much for Miss Noakes. In the scheme of the garden, she is as the serpent.
Septimus, when you stir rice pudding, the spoonful of jam spreads itself round making bread trails, like the picture of a meteor in my astronomical atlas. But when you stir backward, the jam does not come together again. Indeed, the pudding does not notice and continues to turn pink just as before. Do you think this is odd?
No.
I do. You cannot stir things apart.
No more you can. Time must needs run backwards, and since it will not, we must stir our way onward, mixing as we go, disorder after disorder, into disorder, until pink is complete, unchanging and unchangeable, and we are done with it forever. This is known as free will or self-determination. Sit.
Septimus, do you think God is a Newtonian?
A Newtonian? Almost certainly, I'm afraid. You'll have to ask your brother to make his first inquiry at Eton.
No, Septimus, a Newtonian. Septimus, am I the first person to have thought of this?
No.
Haven't said yet.
If everything from the furthest planet to the smallest atom of our brain acts according to Newton's laws of motion, what becomes of free will?
No.
God's will.
No.
Sin.
No.
Very well.
If you could stop every atom in its position and direction, and if your mind could comprehend all the actions thus suspended, then if you were really, really good at algebra, you could write down a formula for all the future. And although nobody can be so clever as to do it, the formula must exist just as if one could.
Yes. Yes, as far as I know, you're the first person to have thought of this. In the margin of his copy of Arithmetica, Fermat wrote that he had discovered a wonderful proof for his theorem, but the margin being too narrow for his purposes, did not have room to write it down. The note was discovered after his death, and from that day to this.
Oh, I see now. The answer is perfectly obvious.
This time, you may have overreached yourself. Miss Chater, perhaps my message miscarried. I will be at liberty at 11:45, if that is convenient.
It is not convenient, sir. My business will not wait.
Then I suppose you have Lord Croom's opinion that your business is more important than his daughter's lesson.
I do not, but if you like, I will ask his lordship to settle the point.
That will be all for now, my lady. Take Fermat into the music room. There will be an extra spoonful of jam to find his proof.
Oh, there is no proof, Septimus. The thing that is perfectly obvious is that the note in the margin was a joke to make you all mad.
Well, sir, what is this business that cannot wait?
I think you know it, sir. You have insulted my wife.
Insulted her? That would deny my nature, my conduct, and the admiration in which I hold Mrs. Chater.
No, I've heard of your admiration, sir. You insulted my wife in the gazebo yesterday evening.
Oh, no, sir. You are mistaken. I made love to your wife in the gazebo, and if someone is putting it about that I did not turn up, by God, sir, it is a slander.
Damn lecher. You would drag down a lady's reputation to make a refuge for your own cowardice? It will not do. I'm calling you out, sir.
Chater, my dear friend.
Oh, you dare to call me that? I demand satisfaction.
Mrs. Chater demands satisfaction. And now you are demanding satisfaction? I cannot spend my time day and night satisfying the demands of the Chater family. As for your wife's reputation, it stands where it ever stood.
Damn you, Hodge, I will not listen to this. Will you fight or not?
Not. There are no more than one or two poets of the first rank now living, and I would not shoot one of them dead over a perpendicular pope in a gazebo.
Ha! You say so, do you? Well, who are the others, in your opinion? No. No, this goes very ill, Hodge. I will not be flattered out of my course. You say so, do you?
I do. And I would say the same to Milton, were he not already dead. Not the part about his wife, of course.
But among the living, Mr. Southey?
Southey was shot on the side.
Yes, he has fallen off. I admired Thaliba quite, but Madoc... oh, dear. But we are straying from the business at hand, sir. You took advantage of Mrs. Chater. And if that were not bad enough, it appears that every stable boy and sculptor...
Oh, damn me! Have you not heard a word I said?
I have heard you, sir, and I will not deny that I welcome your regard. God knows one is little appreciated if one stands outside the coterie of Haxon Place and surround Geoffrey and the Edinburgh.
My dear Chater, a poet is judged by the seating plan at Lord Holland's table.
By heaven, you are right. And I would very much like to know the name of the scoundrel who slandered my verse drama, The Maid of Turkey, in the Piccadilly Recreation 2.
The Maid of Turkey. I have it by my bedside. When I cannot sleep, I take up the Maid of Turkey like an old friend.
There you are. And the scoundrel wrote that he would not give it to his dog for dinner were it covered in bread sauce and stuffed with chestnuts. When Mrs. Chater read that, she wept, sir. And would not give herself to me for a fortnight. Which recalls me to my purpose.
Your new code, however, will make your name perpetual.
Whether do or not.
It is not a question, sir. No coterie of hacks can impose the acclamation of the reading public. Couch of Arrows will take the town.
Is that your estimation?
It is my intent.
Well, is it? Well, I do not understand you.
You see, I have an early copy sent to me for review. I say review, but I speak of an extensive appreciation of your gifts and your rightful place in English literature.
Well, I must say that is most certainly you written it?
Not yet.
Ah. Did Mrs. Chater know of this before you and she?
I think she very likely did.
Oh, yes, now you have an insight into a character. Yes, by God, she's wife to me, sir.
For that alone, I would not make her a widow.
Captain Bryce once made the same observation.
Captain Bryce did?
Mr. Hodge, allow me to inscribe your copy in happy anticipation. Lady Thomasina's pen will serve us.
Your relations to Lord and Lady Croom, you owe to find her ladyship's brother.
Oh, no, it was all nonsense, sir. Canard. But a fortunate mistake. It brought me the patronage of a captain of His Majesty's Navy and the brother of a countess.
Well, sir, you can say you have received satisfaction.
Oh!
Ah, Miss Notes! My mutty little rascal. Are you looking for your spyglass?
I beg your leave. I thought her ladyship... Excuse me.
To my dear friend Septimus Hodge, who stood up and gave his best on behalf of the author Ezra Chater at Sidney Park, Derbyshire, April 10th, 1809. There, sir, something to show your grandchildren.
This is handsome. This is more than I deserve. What do you say, Notes?
Oh no, not the gazebo! Miss Notes, what is this I hear?
Not only the gazebo, but the boathouse, the Chinese bridge, the shrubbery.
My God, sir, not possible!
Miss Notes will have it so.
Miss Notes, this is monstrous.
I'm glad to hear it from you, Mr. Hart. May I return now?
Not yet.
Yes, let us stay. A lesson in folly is worth two in wisdom.
Is Sidley Park to Englishman's Garden of the heart of Corsican brigands?
Let us not hyperbolize, sir.
It is rape, sir.
It is the modern style, sir.
Regrettable, of course, but so it is.
Mr. Chater, you show too much submission. Mr. Hodge, I appeal to you.
I regret the gazebo. I sincerely regret the gazebo. And the boathouse, up to a point. But the Chinese bridge, fantasy. And the shrubbery I reject with contempt. Mr. Chater, would you take the word of a jumped-up, jovian gardener who sees carnal embrace in every nook and cranny of the landscape?
Septimus, they are not speaking of carnal embrace. Are you, Mamma?
Certainly not. What do you know of carnal embrace?
Oh, everything, thanks to Septimus.
What is this?
She speaks from innocence, not from
You
experience.
call it innocence? Has he ruined you, child?
Answer your uncle.
How is a ruined child any different from a ruined castle?
On questions such as this, I defer to Miss Notes.
A ruined castle is picturesque. Certainly.
That is the main difference. I teach the classical authors. If I do not elucidate the meaning, who will?
As her tutor, you have a duty to keep her in ignorance.
Thomasina, wait in the music room.
Yes, Mamma. I did not intend to get you into trouble, Septimus. I am sorry for it. It is plain to see that there are some things a girl is allowed to understand. These include the whole of algebra. But there are others, such as embracing a side of beef that should be kept from her until she's old enough to have a carcass of her own.
One moment.
What is she talking about?
Meat.
Meat?
Thomasina, you had better remain. Your knowledge of the picturesque of be like an empty vessel waiting to be filled at the well of truth, not a cabinet of vulgar curios. Miss Noakes, now at last it is your turn.
Thank you, your lady.
Your drawing is a very wonderful transformation. I would not have recognized my own garden but for your ingenious book. Is it not? Look, here is the park as it appears to us now, and here as it might be when Miss Noakes has done with it, where there is the familiar pastoral refinement of an Englishman's garden. Here is an eruption of gloomy forest, of towering crag, of ruins where there was never a house. Pray, what is this rustic hovel that presumes to superpose itself on my gazebo?
That is the hermitage, my lady.
I am bewildered.
It is all irregular, Miss Noakes.
It is. Irregularity is one of the chiefest principles of the picturesque style.
But Sidley Park is already a picture, and a most amiable picture too. The slopes are green and gentle, the trees are companionably grouped at intervals that show them to advantage. The rill is a serpentine ribbon unwound from the lake, peaceably contained in my meadows, upon which the right amount of sheep are tastefully arranged. In short, nature as God intended. And I can say with the painter, et in Arcadia ego. Here am I in Arcadia, Thomasina.
Oh,
If you would have it so, Mamma.
Is she correcting my taste or my translation?
Neither beyond correction, Mamma, but it was your geography caused the doubt.
Something has occurred with the girl since I saw her last. And surely that was yesterday. How old were you this morning?
13 years and 10 months, Mamma.
13 years and 10 months. She is not due to be pert for 6 months at the earliest, or to have notions of taste for much longer. Mr. Hodge, I hold you accountable. The guns have reached the brow. I will speak to his lordship on the subject, and we will see by and by. Your friend has got down a pigeon, Mr. Hodge. Bravo, sir.
The pigeon, I am sure, fell to your son and to your husband, your ladyship. My school from the seven lesser sportsmen.
Yes, to Augustus. Bravo, lad.
Well, come along. Where are my troops?
ahem. My dear Mr. Hodge.
Pop, pop, pop. I've grown up in the sound of guns like the child of the siege. Papa has no need for the recording angel. His life is written in a game book.
A calendar of slaughter. Et in Arcadia ego. Even in Arcadia,
There am I.
Oh, phooey to death. I will draw on a hermit. For what is a hermitage without a hermit? Are you in love with my mother, Septimus?
You must not be cleverer than your elders. It is not polite.
Am I cleverer?
Yes, much.
I'm sorry for it. Oh, Mrs. Chater came in the music room with a note for you. She said it was of scant importance, and therefore I should carry it to you with the utmost safety, urgency, and discretion. Does carnal embrace out of the brain?
Invariably. That is enough education for today. Thank you.
There, I have made him like the Baptist in the wilderness.
How picturesque.
the French window.
Yes, hang on.
Sorry.
The best thing is you wait here, save your tramping around. She spends a good deal of her time in the garden, as you may imagine.
Yes. Why?
She's writing a history of the garden. Didn't you know?
No, I knew she was working on the Croom papers, but I didn't know much.
It's not exactly a history of the garden either. I'll let Hannah explain it. I was going to say make yourself comfortable, but that's hardly possible. Everything's been cleared out. It's en route to the nearest laboratory.
Everything is.
No, this room is. They drew a line of portable toilets.
Ah, I see. Did you say Hannah?
Hannah, yes. Well, you'll be all right. I won't be. Mr. Nightingale.
Oh, yes, thank you. Miss Jarvis is Hannah Jarvis, the author.
Yes. Have you read her book?
Oh, yes, yes.
I bet she's in Hermitage. Can't see them here in tennis.
Are you having a garden party?
Oh, a dance for the district next week. Our annual dress-up and general drunkenness. The Wrinkleys won't have it in the house. We once had a teapot we had to bag back from Christie's in the nick of time. So anything that can be destroyed, stolen, or vomited upon has been tactfully removed. Tactlessly, I should say.
Look, would you mind not mentioning my name just yet?
Oh, all right.
It's more fun to surprise her. Do you mind?
No, but she's bound to ask. Should I give you another name, just for the moment?
Sure, why not?
Perhaps another bird. You're not really a nightingale.
Oh, hello.
Sod, 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 sod. Cloud! Cloud!
Oh, she's in the garden looking for Miss Jarvis.
Is anyone looking after you?
Yes, thank you. I'm Bernard Knight. I've come to see Miss Jarvis. I wrote to Lord Croom, but unfortunately I never received a reply, so I telephoned
Did you type it?
Type it?
Was your letter typewritten?
Yes.
My father never replies to typewritten letters. Oh, lightning. Where have you been hiding?
So I telephoned yesterday, and I believe I spoke to you on the phone.
To me? Ah, yes. Sorry. You're doing a talk about someone, and you want to ask Hannah something.
Yes, as it turns out. I'm hoping Miss Jarvis will look kindly on me.
I doubt it.
Oh, you know about her research?
I know Hannah.
Has she been here long?
Well, in possession, I'm afraid. My mother had read her book, you see. Have you?
No. Yes, her book. Indeed.
She's terrifically pleased with herself.
Well, I dare say that if I wrote a bestseller...
No, my mother, for reading it. She basically reads gardening books.
Oh. She must be delighted to have Hannah Jarvis writing a book about her garden.
Actually, it's about the hermit. That's your ask, Gus. What do you want? Well, I'll take lightning for its run. By the way, is that your red master?
Yes.
If you want a tip, I'd put it out of sight with the stable arch before my father comes home. He won't have anyone in the house with a Japanese car. Are you queer?
No, actually.
Well, even so.
Mr. Peacock.
Oh, hello. Miss Jarvis, of course. Such a pleasure. I was thrown for a moment. The photograph doesn't do you justice.
Photograph.
On the book. I'm so sorry to have brought you indoors, but Lady Chloe kindly
Mr. Peacock, what can I do for you?
Well, to begin with, you can call me Bernard, which is my name.
Thank you.
The book is a revelation. To see Caroline Lamb through your eyes is really like seeing her for the first time. I'm ashamed to say I never read any of her fiction. But how right you are, it's extraordinary stuff. Early 19th is my period as much as anything is.
You teach?
Yes, and right, like you, like we all. Though I've never done anything which is so like Caroline.
I don't teach.
No, all the more credit to you. To rehabilitate a forgotten writer, I suppose you could say it's the main reason for an English professor.
Not to teach.
Oh, good God, no. Let the little brats sort it out for themselves. Anyway, many congratulations. I expect someone will be bringing out Caroline Lamb's oeuvre now?
Yes, I expect so.
Wonderful, bravo. Simply as a document shedding reflected light on the character of
Bernard.
Lord Byron.
You did say Bernard, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
I'm putting my shoes back on now.
Oh, you're not going out?
No, I'm going to kick you in the balls.
Right. Point taken. Ezra Chaytor.
Ezra Chaytor.
Born Twickenham, Middlesex, 1778. The author of 2 verse narratives, The Maid of Turkey, 1808, and The Couch of Eros, 1809. Nothing known after 1809. He disappears completely.
I see. And?
There is a Sidley Park connection. To my friend Septimus Hodge, who stood up and gave his best on behalf of the author, Ezra Chaytor, at Sidley Park, Derbyshire, April 10th, 1809. I am in your hands.
The Couch of Eros. Is it any good?
It's quite surprising.
Family?
Zilch. There's only one other Chaytor in the British Library database.
Same period.
Yes, but he wasn't a poet like our Ezra. He was a botanist who described a dwarf dahlia in Martinique and died there after being bitten by a monkey.
And Ezra Chaytor?
He gets 2 references in the periodical index. In each case, a substantial review in the Piccadilly Recreation.
And where was this?
A private collection. I've got a talk to give next week in London, and I think Chaytor is interesting. So anything on him, this Septimus Hodge, or Sidley Park, anything at all, I would be most grateful.
Well, this is a new experience for me, a groveling academic.
Oh, I say.
Oh, but it is. All the academics who reviewed my book patronized it.
Surely not.
Surely yes. The Byron gang unzipped their thighs and patronized all over it. Where is it you don't bother to teach, by the way?
Oh, well, Sussex, actually.
Ah, Sussex. Nightingale, yes. 1,000 words in the Observer to see me off the premises with a pat on the bottom. You must know him.
As I say, I am in your hands.
Quite. Say please, then.
Please.
Sit down, do.
Thank you.
How did you know that I was here?
Oh, I didn't. I spoke to the son on the phone, but he didn't mention you by name. And then he failed to mention me.
Ah, Valentine. He's at Oxford, technically.
Yes, I met him. Bride's head regurgitated.
My fiancé.
I'll take a chance. You're lying.
Well done, Bernard.
Dear God.
He calls me his fiancé.
Really, why?
It's a joke.
You turned him down?
Don't be silly.
What's he doing, Valentine?
He's a postgrad, biology.
No, he's a mathematician.
Well, he's doing grouse.
Grouse?
Not actual grouse, computer grouse.
Ah. And who's the one who doesn't speak?
Gus.
What's the matter with him?
I didn't ask.
And the father sounds like a lot of fun.
Ah, yes.
And the mother is the gardener. So what's going on here?
Archaeology. The house had a formal Italian garden until, say, 1740. Lady Crew was rather interested in garden history. I sent her a copy of my book. It contains, as you know if you read it, which I'm not assuming, by the way, a rather good description of Caroline's garden at Crockett Hall. I'm here now helping Hermione.
Hermione?
The records are unusually complete and have never been worked on before.
Well, I'm beginning to admire you.
Before was BS.
Completely. The photograph does you justice. I'm not sure the book does.
Septimus Hodge was the tutor.
At a girl.
His pupil was the Croon daughter. There was a son at Eton, and the paybook specifies allowances for wine and candles, so not quite a guest, but rather more than a steward. His letter of self-recommendation is preserved among the papers. I'll dig it out for you. As far as I remember, he studied mathematics and natural philosophy at Cambridge. A scientist, therefore, as much as anything.
I'm impressed. Thank you. And Chaytor?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing at all.
I'm afraid not.
How about the library?
The catalogue was done in the 1880s. I've been through the lot.
What about the letters? No mention?
I'm afraid not. I've been very thorough in your period because, well, it's my period too.
Is it? Actually, I don't quite know what it is that you're doing.
Sidney Hermit.
Oh. Now, who's he?
He's my peg for the nervous breakdown of the romantic imagination. I'm doing landscape and literature, 1750 to 1834.
What happened in 1834?
My hermit died. Look, there he is. known likeness of the Sidley hermit.
Very biblical.
Drawn in by a later hand, of course. The hermitage didn't yet exist when Noakes did the drawings.
Noakes, the painter.
Landscape gardener. She'd do these books for her clients as a sort of prospectus, you see. Before and after. This is how the park looked till, say, 1810. Smooth, undulating, serpentine, open water, clumps of trees, classical boathouse.
Lovely. The real England.
You can stop being silly now, Bernard. English landscape was invented by gardeners who were imitating foreign painters who were evoking classical authors. Arcadia. And here, superimposed by Rebecca Noakes, untamed nature in the style of Salvator Rosa. It's the Gothic novel expressed in landscape. Everything but vampires. There's an account of my hermit in a letter by your illustrious namesake.
Florence?
What?
No, you go on.
Thomas Love Peacock.
Ah, yes.
I found it in an article published in the Cornhill magazine, 1862. Peacock calls him not one of your village simpletons to frighten the ladies, but a savant among idiots, a sage of lunacy.
An oxymoron, so to speak.
Yes, what?
Nothing.
The point is, the Crooms, of course, had the hermit under their noses for 20 years, so hardly thought him worth remarking, as I'm finding out. The Peacock letter is still my main source, unfortunately. When I read this, it was one of those moments that tell you what your next book is going to be. The Hermit of Sidley Park was my epiphany.
Epiphany, that's it.
The hermit was placed in the landscape exactly as one might place a pottery gnome, and there he lived out the rest of his life as a garden ornament.
Did he do anything?
No, he was very busy. When he died, the cottage was stacked solid with papers. Thousands of pages, tens of thousands. Peacock says he was suspected a genius. Turns out, of course, he was off his head. He covered every sheet with cabalistic proofs that the world was coming to an end. That's perfect. A perfect symbol, I mean.
Oh, yes. Of what?
The whole romantic sham, Bernard. It's what happened to the Enlightenment, isn't it? A century of intellectual rigor turned in on itself. A mind in chaos, suspected of genius, in a setting of cheap thrills and false emotions. The history of the garden says it perfectly. The decline from thinking to feeling, you see.
That's very good. No, that will stand up.
Thank you.
The hermit is very, very good. The genius of the place.
That's my title.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. Who was he when he wasn't being a symbol?
I don't know.
Ah.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And what do they do with all the hermit's paper, does Peacock say?
Made a bonfire.
Oh, well.
I've still got Lady Croom's garden books to go through.
Account books or journals?
A bit of both. They're gappy, but they span the period.
Really? Have you come across Lord Byron at all, as a matter of interest?
A first edition of Child's Herald in the library and English bards, I think.
Inscribed?
No.
And he doesn't pop up in the letters at all?
Why should he? The Crooms don't pop up in his.
Oh, that's true, but his estate wasn't so far away. I mean, Byron was almost a neighbor. Would you mind if I poked about in the library only with the papers that you've done with, of course?
Mr. Peacock, are you looking into Chaytor or Byron?
Sorry, just cutting through. There's tea in the pantry, if you don't mind, Mugs.
How kind.
Hannah will show you.
Here, let me help.
No, it's all right. Thank you. I've been saving Giles getting books. Thanks.
Sweet girl. Oh, really?
Oh, really, what?
I meant to say, don't worry if Father makes remarks about your car, Mr. Nightingale. He's going to think about... Oh. How was the surprise? Not yet, eh? Sorry. Tea, anyway. So sorry if I...
You absolute bastard.
The thing is, there's a Byron connection too.
I don't care.
You should. The Byron gang are going to get it caught in their zip
Really?
if we collaborate.
On what?
Sit down, I'll tell you.
I'll stand for the moment.
This copy of the Couch of Eros belongs to Lord Byron.
It belonged to Septimus Hodge.
Originally, yes, but it was in Byron's library, which was sold to pay his debts in 1860.
All right, it was in Byron's library.
A number of passages have been underlined. All of them and only them. No, no, no. Look at me, not the book. All of the passages were used as quotations in the review of the Couch of Eros in the Piccadilly Recreation of April 30th, 1809. The reviewer begins by drawing attention to his previous notice in the same periodical of the Maid of Turkey.
The reviewer is obviously Hodge. To my friend Septimus Hodge, who stood up and gave his best on behalf of the author.
That's the point. The Piccadilly ridiculed both books.
Do the reviews read like Byron?
They read a damn sight more like Byron than Byron's review of Wordsworth the previous year.
I see. Well, congratulations. Possibly. 2 previously unknown book reviews by the young Byron. Is that it?
No. Because of the tapes, 3 documents survived undisturbed in the book. Sir, we have a matter to settle. I wait on you in the gun room. E. Chater, Esquire. My husband has sent to town for pistols. Deny what cannot be proven for charity's sake. I keep my room this day. Unsigned. Sidley Park, April 11th, 1809. Sir, I call you a liar, a lecher, a slanderer in the press, and a thief of my honor. I wait upon your arrangements for giving me satisfaction as a man and a poet. E. Chater, Esquire.
Superb, but inconclusive. The book had 7 years to find its way into Byron's possession. It doesn't connect Byron with Chater, or with Sidley Park, or with Hodge for that matter. And furthermore, there isn't a hint of this in Byron's letters, and this kind of a scrape is the last thing you would have kept quiet about.
Scrape?
Yes, he would have made a comic turn out of it.
Comic turn? Fiddlesticks! Byron killed Chater.
Oh, really?
Chater was 31 years old, the author of 2 books. Nothing more is heard from him after 1809. And Byron had just published his satire, English Bards and Scotch Reviewers. He was just getting a name. Yet he sailed for Lisbon as soon as he could find a ship and stayed abroad for 2 years. Hannah, this is fame. Somewhere in the Croom papers there has to be something.
There isn't. I've looked.
But you were looking for something else. It's not going to jump out at you like Lord Byron remarked amusingly at breakfast.
Nevertheless, his presence would be unlikely to have gone unremarked, yet there is nothing to suggest that he was here, and I don't believe he ever was.
All right, but let me have a look.
You'll queer my pitch.
Dear girl, I know how to handle myself.
And don't call me dear girl. If I find anything on Byron, or Chater, or Hodge, I'll pass it on. Nightingale. Sussex.
Thank you. I'm so sorry about that whole business about my name.
Don't mention it.
What was Hodges College, by the way?
Trinity.
Trinity?
Yes, Byron's old college.
And how old was Hodge?
Have to look it up, but a year or 2 older than Byron. 22 maybe.
Do you mean that Septimus Hodge was at school with Byron?
Yes. He must have been, as a matter of fact.
Well, you silly cat!
I thought I'd bring it to you.
Quite all right. I have to go and see about my car.
Going to hide it.
Hide it? I'm going to sell it. Is there a pub I can put up at in the village? Aren't you glad I'm here?
He said he knew you.
He couldn't have.
No, perhaps not. He said he wanted it to be a surprise, but I suppose that's different. Thought there was a lot of sexual energy there, didn't you? What? Bouncy on his feet, you see a sure sign. Should I invite him for you?
To what? No.
No, you invite him. That's better.
Stop it. Thank you for the tea.
Well, if you don't want him, I'll have him. Is he married?
I haven't the faintest idea. Aren't you supposed to have a pony?
I'm just trying to fix you up, Hannah.
Believe me, it gets less important.
I mean for the dancing. He can come as
don't want a dancing partner, least of all Mr. Nightingale. I don't dance.
Oh, don't be such a prune. You were kissing him anyway.
He was kissing me, and only out of general enthusiasm.
Well, don't say I didn't give you first chance. My genius brother will be much relieved. He's in love with you, suppose you know.
That is a joke.
It's not a joke to him.
Of course it is. Not even a joke. How can you be so ridiculous?
Hello, Gus. What have you got?
Thank you.
Told you.
Oh, oh dear.
Why have you stopped?
Solio incessa in igni, seated on a throne by the fire.
There is no reply, Jellyby. Thank you.
I will tell Mr. Chater, sir.
By with or from purple sails.
I will have something for the post, if you'd be so kind.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Was like as to something by with or from lovers. Oh, Septimus! Musica tibiarum, music of pipes commanded.
Ruled is better.
The silver oars, exciting the ocean as if amorous.
Amorous is very good.
Regina reclinabat, the queen was reclining. Praeter descriptionem, indescribably in a golden tent, like Venus, and yet more.
Try to put some poetry into it.
How can I if there's none in the Latin?
Oh, critic.
Is it Queen Dido?
No,
Well, who is the poet?
known to you.
Known to me?
Not alone.
Mr. Chater.
Careful translation. It's quite like Chater.
I know who it is. It is your friend Byron.
Lord Byron, if you please.
Mamma's in love with Lord Byron.
Yes, nonsense.
It is not nonsense. I saw them together in the gazebo. Lord Byron was reading to her from his satire, and Mamma was laughing, her head in her best position.
She did not understand the satire, and was merely showing politeness to a guest.
She is vexed with Papa for his determination to alter the path, but that alone cannot account for her politeness to a guest. She came downstairs hours before her custom. Lord Byron was amusing at breakfast. He paid you a tribute, Septimus.
Did he?
He said you were a witty fellow, and he had almost by heart a review you wrote about, a book called The Maid of Turkey, and how you would not give it to your dog for dinner.
Mr. Chater was at breakfast, of course.
He was, not like certain lazy bones.
He did not have Latin to set or mathematics to correct.
Correct? What was incorrect with it? Alpha minus? Who? What's the minus for?
For doing more than was asked.
You did not like my discovery.
A fancy is not a discoverer.
A jibe is not a rebuttal. You are churlish with me because Mamma's paying attention to your friend. I think it is an excellent discovery. Each week I plot your equations, dot for dot, x's against y's and all manner of algebraic relation. And each week they draw themselves as commonplace geometry, as if the world forms nothing but arcs and angles. God's truth, Septimus. If there is an equation for a curve like a bell, there must be an equation for a curve like a bluebell. And if a bluebell, why not a rose? Do we believe nature is written in numbers?
We do.
Then why do your equations describe only the shapes of manufacture?
I do not know.
Armed thus, God could only make a cabinet.
He has mastery of equations which lead into infinities where we cannot follow.
What a faint heart! We must work our way outward from the middle of the maze.
We will start with something simple. I will plot this leap and deduce its equation. You will be famous for being my tutor when Lord Byron is dead and forgotten.
Back to Cleopatra.
So Cleopatra? I hate Cleopatra.
You hate her? Why?
Everything has turned to love with her. New love, absent love, lost love. Never knew a heroine that makes such noodles of our sex. It only needs a Roman general to set anchor outside the window, and away goes the empire, like a christening mug into a pawn shop. The Egyptian noodle made carnal embrace with the enemy, who burned the great library of Alexandria, without so much as a fine for all that is overdue. Oh, Septimus, can you bear it? All the lost plays of the Athenians, 200 at least by Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides. Thousands of poems. Aristotle's own library brought to Egypt by the noodle's ancestors. All lost. How can we sleep for grief?
By counting our stock. 7 plays from Aeschylus, 7 from Sophocles, 19 from Euripides, my lady. You should no more grieve for the rest than for a buckle lost from your first shoe, or for your lesson book, which will be lost to you when you are old. We shed as we pick up, like travelers who must carry everything on their arms, and while we let fall, will be picked up by those behind. The procession is very long, and life is very short. We die on the march, but there is nothing outside the march, so nothing can be lost to it. The missing plays of Sophocles will turn up piece by piece, or be written again in another language. Ancient cures for diseases will reveal themselves once more. Mathematical discoveries, glimpsed and lost from view, will have their time again. Now, where are we? Let me try a free translation for you. At Harrow I was better at this than Lord Byron. Sole, incessa,
Hodge!
Chater! My dear friend, do come in, sir. Don't hang back. That will be all for now, my lady.
Captain Bryce does me the honor. That is to say, whatever you have to say to me, please address yourself to Captain Bryce.
How unusual. Your wife was not down yesterday, sir. I trust she is not sick.
My wife? I have no wife. What the devil do you mean, sir?
I do not understand the scheme, Chater. Whom should I address when I wish to speak with Captain Bryce?
Oh, slippery, Hodge. Slippery.
By the way, Chater. I have amazing news to tell you. Someone's taken to writing wild and whirling letters in your name. I received one not half an hour ago.
Mr. Hodge, look to your honor, sir. You cannot attend me without this foolery. Nominate your second when I settle the business as between gentlemen. No doubt your friend Byron would do you this service.
Yes, he would do me the service. Sir, I repent your injury. You're an honest fellow with no more malice than you propose.
Ah, well, that is more like the thing. Is he apologizing?
There is still the injury to his conjugal property. Mrs. Chater's...
Tush, sir.
As you will, her tush. Nevertheless, I think...
Excellently found! Mr. Chater's will please you very much. Lord Byron begs a copy of your new book. He dies to read it and intends to include your name in the second edition of his English bards and Scotch reviewers.
English bards and Scotch reviewers, your ladyship, is a doggerel aimed at Lord Byron's seniors and betters. If he intends to include me, he intends to insult me.
Of course he does, Mr. Chater. Would you rather be thought not worth insulting? Oh, the Couch of Eros.
That is my copy, madam.
So much the better. What are a friend's books for, if not to be borrowed? Mr. Hodge, you must speak to Lord Byron and put him out of his affectation of pretending to quit us. I will not have it. He says he is determined on the Malta packet sailing out of Falmouth. His head is full of Lisbon and Lesbos, and his
portmanteau of pistols. He says his aim is poetry. One does not aim at poetry with pistols. At poets, perhaps. I charge you to take command of his pistols, Mr. Hodge. He is not safe with them. His lameness, he confessed to me, is entirely the result of his habit from boyhood of shooting himself in the foot.
Well, if that was not God speaking through Lady Croom, he never spoke through anyone.
Take command of Lord Byron's pistols?
You hear, Mr. Chater, sir? How will you answer him?
By killing him. I'm tired of him.
What?
Oh, damn your soul, Chater. I'm at your service with a half-ounce ball in your brain. May it satisfy you. Behind the birdhouse at daybreak. Shall we say 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
My compliments to Mrs. Chatham. Have no fear for her. She will not want for protection while Captain Bryce has a guinea in his pocket. He told us so himself.
You lie, sir!
No, sir. Mrs. Chatham, perhaps.
You lie, or you'll answer to me!
Oh, very well. I can pitch you in at 5 minutes after 5. And then it's off to the mall to pack it out of Falmouth. You two will be dead. My penurious school friend will remain to teach with Lady Thomasina, and I trust everybody, including Lady Croom, will be satisfied.
He is all bluster and bladder. Rest assured, Chater, I will let the air out of him.
Oh. Ah. Oh! But wait! Captain Bryce!
Wonderful method whereby all the forms of nature must give up their numerical secrets and draw themselves through number alone. This margin being too mean for my purpose, the reader must look elsewhere for the new geometry of irregular forms discovered by Thomasina Coverley. Does it mean anything?
I don't know. I don't know what it means except mathematically.
I meant mathematically.
No. It's an iterated algorithm.
What's that?
Well, dear God, it's an algorithm that's been iterated. How am I supposed to? The left-hand pages are graphs of what the numbers are doing on the right-hand pages, but all on different scales. Each graph is a smaller section of the previous one, blown up, like you'd blow up a detail of a photograph, and then the detail of the detail, and so on forever. On her case, till she ran out of pages.
Is it difficult?
The maths isn't difficult. It's what you did at school. You have some x and y equation, and any value for x gives you a value for y. So you put a dot where it tried for both x and y. And then you take your next value for x, which gives you another value for y, and once you've done that a few times, you join up your dots, and that's a graph of whatever the equation is.
And is that what she's doing?
No. Not exactly. Not at all. What she's doing is, each time she works out the value for y, she's using that as her next value for x. Like a feedback. She's feeding back the solution into the equation, and then solving it again. Iteration, you see.
And that's surprising, is it?
Well, it is a bit. It's the same technique I'm using on my graphs, and it hasn't been around for much longer than, call it 30 years.
Why would she be doing it?
I have no idea. I thought you were doing the hermit.
I am. I still am, but Bernard, damn him. Thomasina's tutor turns out to have some pretty interesting connections. Bernard's been going through the library like a bloodhound. I found the portfolio in a cupboard.
Yes, there's a lot of interesting stuff around. Gus loves going through it. No old masters or anything.
The maths primer she was using belonged to him, the tutor.
Septimus Hodge.
Why were these things saved, do you think?
Why should there be a reason?
The diagram, what's it out?
How would I know?
Why are you cross?
I'm not cross. When your Thomasina was doing maths, it had been the same maths for a couple of thousand years, classical, and for a century after her. Then mathematics left the real world behind, like modern art, really. Nature was classical. Maths was suddenly Picasso's. But now nature is having the last laugh. The freaky stuff is turning out to be the mathematics of the natural world.
Like this feedback thing.
For example.
Well, could Thomasina have the skill?
No! Of course you bloody couldn't.
All right. You're not cross. What do you mean you're doing the same thing she was doing? What are you doing?
Actually, I'm doing it from the other end. She started with an equation and turned it into a graph. I've got the graph, real data, and I'm trying to find the equation which would give you the graph if you used it the same way she used hers, iterated it.
What for?
It's how you look at population changes in biology. Goldfish in a pond, say. This year there are X goldfish. Next year there'll be Y goldfish. Some get born, some get eaten by herons, whatever. Nature manipulates the X and turns it into Y, and then Y is your starting population for the following year. This thing, it works for any phenomenon which eats its own numbers. Measles epidemics, rainfall averages, cotton prices. It's a natural phenomenon in itself. Spooky.
Does it work for the grouse?
I don't know yet. I mean, it does undoubtedly, but it's harder to show. There's more noise with the grouse.
Noise.
Distortion, interference, real data is messy. There's 1,000 acres of moorland that had grouse on it. Always did till about 1930. But no one counted the grouse they shot them. So you count the grouse they shot. But burning the heather interferes. It improves the food supply. Good year for foxes, interferes the other way. They eat the chicks. And then there's the weather. It's all very noisy out there. Very hard to spot the tune. Grouse are bastards compared to goldfish.
So why did you choose them?
The game books, my true inheritance. 200 years of real data on a plate.
Somebody wrote down everything that was shot.
Well, that's what a game book is.
So the game books go back all the way to Thomasina's time.
Oh yes, further. No. I promise you. Not a schoolgirl living in a country house in 18-something in Derbyshire.
Well, what was she doing?
She was just playing with numbers. The truth is she wasn't doing anything.
She had to have been doing something.
Doodling, nothing she understood.
A monkey at the typewriter.
Yes.
A method whereby all the forms of nature must give up their numerical secrets and draw themselves to number alone. This feedback thing, is it a way of making pictures of forms of nature? Tell me if it is or isn't.
To me it is. Pictures of turbulence, growth, change. It's not the way of drawing an elephant, for God's sake.
Sorry. So, you couldn't make a picture of this leaf by iterating it, what's it?
Oh yeah, sure, you could do that.
Oh, for God's sakes, tell me. I could kill you.
If you knew the algorithm and fed it back, say, 10,000 times, each time there'd be a dot somewhere on the screen, you'd never know what to expect the next dot, but gradually you'd start to see the shape, because every dot would be inside the shape of the leaf, which wouldn't be a leaf, it would be a mathematical object. But yes, the unpredictable and the predetermined unfold together to make everything the way it is. It's how nature recreates itself on every scale, the snowflake to the snowstorm. It makes me so happy to be at the beginning again. People were talking about the end of physics. Relativity and quantum looked as if they were going to clear out the whole problem between them. But they only explained the very big and the very small. The ordinary sized stuff, which is our lives, the things people write poetry about, clouds, daffodils, waterfalls, and what happens in a cup of coffee when the cream goes in. These are all full of mystery, as mysterious to us as the heavens were to the Greeks. We're better at predicting events at the edge of the galaxy, or inside the nucleus of an atom, than whether it'll rain on Auntie's garden party 3 Sundays from now. Because the problem turns out to be different. We can't even predict the next drip from a dripping tap when it gets irregular. Each drip sets up the conditions for the next. The smallest variation blows prediction apart. The weather is unpredictable the same way, will always be unpredictable. When you push the numbers through the computer, you can see it on the screen. The future is disorder. A door like this has only cracked open 5 or 6 times since we got up on our hind legs. It's the best possible time to be alive, when almost everything you thought you knew is wrong.
The weather is fairly predictable in the Sahara.
The scale is different, but the graph goes up and down the same way. 6,000 years in the Sahara looks like 6 months in Manchester, I bet you.
How much?
Everything you have to lose.
No.
Quite right. That's why there was corn in Egypt.
What is Gus playing?
I don't know, he makes it up.
Chloe called him genius.
Yes, that's what my mother calls him, only she means it. Last year, some expert had to dig in the wrong place for months to try to find something or other. The foundations of Capability Brown's boathouse. And Gus put her right first go.
Did he ever speak?
Oh yes, until he was 5. You've never asked about him. You get high marks for good greeting.
Yes, I know. I've always been given credit for my unconcerns.
English bards and Scotch reviewers, a penciled-in addition. Listen and kiss my cycle clips. O harbinger of sleep, who missed the press, and hoped his drone might thus escape redress, the wretched Chater, bard of Eros' couch, for his narcotic, let my pencil vouch. You see, you have to turn over every page.
Is it in his handwriting?
Oh, come on.
Obviously not.
What do you want?
Proof?
Quite right. Who are you talking about?
Proof? Proof? You'd have to be there, you silly twit.
I say, you're speaking of my fiancée.
Especially when I have a present for you. Guess what I found? Lady Croom writing to her husband from London. It seems her brother, Captain Bryce, married Mrs. Chater. In other words, one might assume a widow.
I said he was dead. What year? 1810. Dear God, 1810. Well done, Hannah. I expect you're going to tell me it's a different Mrs. Chater.
No, it's her all right. Note her Christian name.
Charity. Charity. Deny what cannot be proven for charity's sake.
Don't kiss me.
She won't let anyone kiss her.
You see, they wrote, they scribbled, they put it on paper. It was their employment. There will be more. There is always more, and we can find it.
Such passion. First Valentine, now you. It's moving.
The aristocratic friend of the tutor, under the same roof as the poor sod whose book he savaged. The first thing he does is seduce Chater's wife. All is discovered. There is a duel. Chater dead and Byron fled. P.S. Guess what? The widow married her ladyship's brother. Do you honestly think that no one wrote a word? How could they not? It dropped from sight, but we will write it again.
You, Can Bernard. I'm not going to take any credit. I haven't done anything.
Well, that's very fair. Generous.
Prudent. Chater could have died from anything, anywhere.
But he fought a duel with Byron.
You haven't established it was fought. You haven't established it was Byron. For God's sakes, Bernard, you haven't established that Byron was ever here.
I'll tell you your problem. No guts.
Really?
By which I mean a visceral belief in yourself. Gut instinct. The part of you which doesn't reason.
Are you talking about Lord Byron the poet?
No, you idiot. We're talking about Lord Byron, the chartered accountant.
Well, he was here all right, the poet.
How do you know?
He was in the game book. I think he shot a hare. I went through the whole lot once when I had the mumps. Quite interesting people.
Where's the book?
Not one I'm using, of course. Too early.
1809.
They're in the commode, always have been, just as Chloe.
Chloe? Chloe!
My mother lent him her bicycle. Lending one's bicycle is a form of safe sex. Possibly the safest there is. My mother is in a flutter about Bernard, and he's no fool. Can I keep these for a while?
Yes, of course.
Yes, all right. Come in now.
What I don't understand is why nobody did this earlier. It's not like relativity. You don't have to be Einstein.
You couldn't see to look before. The electronic calculator was what the telescope was to Galileo.
The calculator.
There wasn't enough time before. There weren't enough pencils. This took her I don't know how many days, and she hasn't even scratched the paintwork. Now, all she'd have to do is press a button. The same button, over and over, iteration, a few minutes. And what I've done in a couple of months, the calculations with only a pencil will take me the rest of my life to do again. Thousands of pages, tens of thousands. And so boring.
Do you mean...
Yes, 1 minute.
Do you mean that was the only problem? Enough time and paper and the boredom.
We're going to get out the costume
Is
shop.
that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying you'd have to have a reason for doing it. He hates people shouting.
Sorry. Is anything else?
Well, the other thing is you'd have to be insane.
Did it happen? Could it happen? Undoubtedly it could. These affairs were seldom fatal and sometimes farcical, but potentially the duelist stood in respect to the law, no differently from a murderer. As for the murderee, a minor poet like Ezra Chater could go to his death in a Derbyshire glade as unmissed and unremembered as his contemporary and namesake. The minor botanist who died in the forests of the West Indies, lost to history like the monkey that bit him. On April 16th, 1809, a few days after he left Sidley Park, Byron wrote to his solicitor, John Hanson, "If the consequences of my leaving England were 10 times as ruinous as you describe, I have no alternative. There are circumstances which render it absolutely indispensable, and quit the country I must immediately." To which the editor's note in the collected letters reads as follows. What Byron's urgent reasons for leaving England were at this time has never been revealed. The letter was written from a family seat, Newstead Abbey, Nottinghamshire. A long day's ride to the northwest lay Sidley Park, the estate of the Coverleys, a far grander family, raised by Charles II to the earldom of Croom.
Bernard! Dad.
Do you mind?
Hannah!
What?
She's so rude.
What am I?
Bernard's reading us his lecture.
Yes, I know. Oh, that was rude. Sorry, Bernard.
What's this?
Peacock's letter in his own handwriting.
Hannah! Shut up!
Yes, go on. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I'll read it to myself.
No!
Please, Bernard, go on. Have I missed anything?
Between the Byrons and the Coverleys, there was no social equality and none to be expected. The connection, undisclosed to posterity until now, was with Septimus Hodge, Byron's friend at Harrow and Trinity College. Sustained. Byron's contemporary at Harrow and Trinity College. And now tutor in residence to the Croom daughter, Thomasina Coverley. Byron's letters tell us where he was on April 8th, and on April 12th. He was at Newstead, but on the 10th, he was at Sidley Park, as attested by the game book, as preserved there. April 10th, 1809, forenoon, high cloud, dry, and sun between times, wind southeasterly, South Augustus, Lord Byron, 14 pigeon, 1 hare, Lord B. But as we know now, the drama of life and death at Sidley Park was not about pigeons, but about sex and literature.
Unless you were the pigeon.
I don't have to do this. I'm paying you a compliment.
Don't listen to him, Bernard. Go on, get to the duel.
Hannah's not even paying attention.
What? Oh, no, it's all going in. I often work with the radio on.
Oh, thanks.
Is there much more?
Hannah!
No, it's all very interesting. I just wondered how much more there was. I have to ask Val. Go on. Sorry.
Yes, go on, Bernard.
Please, Bernard.
Where was I?
Pigeons.
Sex.
Literature.
Life and death. Right. Nothing could be more eloquent than that of the 3 documents I have quoted. The terse demand to settle a matter in private, the desperate scribble of my husband has sent to town for pistols, and on April 11th, the gauntlet thrown down by the aggrieved and cuckold author Ezra Chater. The covers have not survived. What is certain is that all 3 letters were in Byron's possession when his books were sold in 1860, preserved in the pages of the Couch of Eros, which 7 years earlier at Sidley Park, Byron had borrowed from Septimus Hodge.
Borrowed.
I will be taking questions at the end, after which constructive comments will be welcome, which is indeed my reason for trying out in the provinces before my London opening under the auspices of the Byron Society prior to publication. By the way, Valentine, do you want to credit the game book as recently discovered by...
Never lost, Bernard.
As recently pointed out by... I don't normally like giving credit where it's due, but with scholarly articles as with divorce, there is a certain cachet in citing a member of the aristocracy. I'll pop it in ad-lib for the lecture and give you a mention in the press release. How's that?
Very kind.
Quite. Where was I?
Game book.
Arrow.
Borrowed.
Borrowed from Septimus Hodge. Is it conceivable that the letters were already in the book when Byron had borrowed it?
Yes.
Shut up, Val!
Well, it's conceivable.
Is it likely that Hodge would have lent Byron the book without first removing the 3 private letters?
Look, sorry, I only meant that Byron could have borrowed the book without asking.
That's true.
Then why wouldn't Hodge get them back?
I
I don't know. I wasn't there, was I?
That's right, you bloody weren't.
Go on, Bernard.
It is the third document, the challenge itself, that convinces. Chater, as a man and a poet, points a finger at his slanderer in the press. Neither as a man or a poet did Ezra Chater cut such a figure as to be habitually slandered or even mentioned in the press. It is surely indisputable that the slander was the review of the Maid of Turkey in the Piccadilly Recreation. Did Septimus Hodge have any connection with the London periodicals? No. Did Byron? Yes. And do we have any clue as to Byron's opinion of Chater the poet? Yes. Who but Byron could have written the 4 lines penciled into Lady Crum's copy of English Bards and Scotch Reviewers?
Almost anybody.
Darling.
Don't call me darling.
Butthead, then. Is it likely the man Chater calls his friend Septimus Hodge is the same man who screwed his wife and kicked the hell out of his last book?
If you put it like that, it's almost certain.
You've been deeply wounded in the past, haven't you, Hannah?
Nothing compared to listening to this. Why is there no mention in Byron's letters of the Piccadilly Reviews?
Exactly, because he killed the author.
But the first one, The Maid of Turkey, was the year before. Was he clairvoyant?
Let us get lost.
Thank you, exactly. There is a Platonic letter which confirms everything. My dear Hodge, here I am in Albania, and you're the only person in the whole world who knows why. Horsey, I never wished him any harm, except in the Piccadilly, of course. It was the woman who bade me eat, dear Hodge. What a tragic business, but thank God it ended well for poetry. Yours ever, B. P.S. Burn this.
How did Chater find out the reviewer was Byron?
I don't know. I wasn't there, was I? You wish to say something?
Now, I know. Byron told Mrs. Chater in bed. Next day, he dumped her, so she grasped on him and pleaded date rape.
Date rape? What does she mean, date rape?
April 10th, 1809.
Right! Forget it! No, I've had nothing but sarcasm and childish interruptions.
What did I do?
No credit for probably the most sensational literary discovery of the century.
I think you're jolly unfair. They're jealous, Bernard.
I'm sorry, Bernard. Go on.
Yes, go on, Bernard.
All right. Only if you stop feeding tortoises.
Well, it's his lunchtime.
And on the condition that I am afforded the courtesy of a scholar among scholars.
Absolutely, mum, until you're finished.
After which, any comments are to be couched in terms of accepted academic
Dignity, you're right, Bernard.
Respect.
Absolutely. The language of scholars. Count on it.
Last paragraph. Without question, Ezra Chater issued a challenge to Sumner. If a duel was fought in the dawn mist of Sidley Park in April 1809, his opponent, on the evidence, was a critic with a gift for ridicule and a taste for seduction. Do we need look far? Without question, Mrs. Chater was a widow by 1810. If we seek the occasion of Ezra Chater's early and unrecorded death, do we need look far? Without question, Lord Byron, in the very season of his emergence as a literary figure, quit the country in a cloud of panic and mystery, and stayed abroad for 2 years at a time when continental travel was unusual and dangerous. If we seek his reason, do we need look far?
Bollocks!
Well, I think it's true.
You've left out everything which doesn't fit. Byron had been banging on for months about leaving England. There's a letter in February.
But he didn't go,
and
did he?
then he didn't set sail till July.
Things moved more slowly then. Time was different. He was 2 weeks in Falmouth waiting for wind or something.
I don't know why I'm doing this, Bernard. You're arrogant, greedy, and reckless. You've gone from a glint in your eye to a sure thing in a hop, skip, and a jump. So listen to me. If Byron killed Chater in a duel, I'm Maria of Romania. You'll end up with so much fame you won't be able to leave the house without a paper bag over your head.
Actually, Bernard, as a scientist, your theory is incomplete.
But I'm not a scientist.
No, as a scientist.
I have yet to hear a proper argument.
No one would kill a man and then pan his book, at least not in that order. So he must have borrowed the book,
written the review, posted it, seduced Mrs. Chater, fought a duel, and departed, all in the space of 2-3 days. Who would do that?
Byron,
It's hopeless.
you've never understood him as you've shown in your novelette.
In my what?
Oh, excuse me. Did you think it was a work of historical revisionism? Byron, the spoiled child, promoted beyond his gifts by the spirit of the age, and Caroline Lamb, the closet intellectual, shafted by a male society.
I've read that somewhere.
It's his review.
And bloody well said, too. You got them backwards, darling. Caroline Lamb was a romantic waffle on wheels with no talent, and Lord Byron was a 19th century rationalist touched by genius, and he killed Chater.
If it's not too late to change my mind, I'd like you to continue.
I intend to.
What about my computer models? Aren't you going to mention them?
They're inconclusive.
The Piccadilly Review isn't a very good fit with Byron's other reviews, you see.
The Piccadilly reviews aren't a very good fit for each other, are they?
No, but differently. The parameters don't-
Parameters? You can't stick Byron's head in your laptop. Genius isn't like your average grouse.
Well, it's all trivial anyway.
What is?
Personalities.
Excuse me?
Who wrote what when?
Did you say trivial?
It's a technical term.
Not where I come from, it isn't.
The question you're asking, it doesn't matter, you see. It's like arguing who got there first with the calculus. The Germans say Leibniz, the English say Newton, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the calculus. Scientific progress, knowledge.
Really? Why?
Why what?
Why does scientific progress matter more than personalities?
Is he serious?
No, he's trivial.
Do yourself a favor. You're on a loser.
Oh, you're going to zap me with penicillin and pesticides. Spare me that and I'll spare you the bomb and aerosols. But don't confuse progress with perfectibility. A great poet is always timely. A great philosopher is in urgent need. There's no rush for Isaac Newton. We were all perfectly happy with Aristotle's Cosmos. Personally, I preferred it. 55 crystal spheres geared to God's crankshaft is my idea of a satisfying universe. I can't think of anything more trivial than the speed of light. Quarks, quasars, big bangs, black holes. Who gives a damn? How did you people con us out of all that status, all that money? And why are you so damn proud of yourselves?
Are you against penicillin burn?
I've pushed a lot of you over a cliff myself. Except the one in the wheelchair. I think I'd lose the sympathy vote before people had time to think it through. If knowledge isn't self-knowledge, it isn't doing much, mate. Is the universe expanding? Is it contracting? Is it standing on one leg and singing Father Painted the Parlor? Leave me out. I can expand my universe without you. She walks in beauty, like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies. And all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes. There you are. He wrote it after coming home from a party. By the way, Valentine, what is it that you're doing with the grouse? I'd love to know.
He's not against penicillin, and he knows I'm not against poetry. I've given up on the grouse.
Well, you haven't.
I can't do it.
Why?
There's too much noise. There's too much bloody noise.
You bastard, Bernard!
Well, that looks like everybody. You can leave now. Give Lightning a kick on your way out.
Yes. Sorry about that. It's no fun when it's not among pros, is it?
No.
Well, it's all trivial anyway. Why don't you come?
Where?
With me.
To London. What for?
What for?
Oh, right. Your lecture.
No, bugger that. Sex.
Oh. No. Thank you. No, no.
You should try it. It's very underrated.
Nothing against it.
Yes, you have. You should let yourself go of it. You might have written a better book. Or at least the right book.
Sex and literature.
literature, and sex. Your conversation left to itself doesn't have many places to go, like two marbles rolling around in a pudding basin. One of them is always sex.
Ah, yes. Men all over.
No doubt. Einstein, relativity, and sex. Chippendale, sex and furniture. Galileo, did the earth move? What the hell is it with you people? And what do you mean, the right book?
It takes a romantic to make a heroine out of Caroline Lamb. You were cut out for Bible.
Oh, cheerio.
Oh, I'm coming back for the dance, you know. Chloe asked
Oh,
me.
she meant well, but I don't dance.
No. I'm going with her.
I see. Actually, I don't.
I'm her date. Sub Rosa, don't tell Mother.
She doesn't want her mother to know.
Oh, good God, no. I don't want her mother to know. This is my first experience of the landed aristocracy. And to tell you the truth, I'm boggle-eyed.
Bernard, you haven't seduced that girl, have you?
Seduced her. Every time I turned around, she was up a library ladder. In the end, I gave in. Which reminds me, I spotted something between her legs which reminded me of you. The Peaks Traveller and Gazetteer, James Godolphin, 1832. Unillustrated, I'm afraid. Sidley Park, property of the Earl of Croom, etc., etc., etc.
The world is going to hell in a handcart.
Ah, here we are. A hermitage occupied by a lunatic for 20 years, without discourse or companion, save for a pet tortoise, Plautus by name, which he suffers children to touch on request. So, the hermit had a tortoise named Plautus. They must be a feature.
Thank you.
The station taxi's at the front.
Thank you. Well, wish me luck. So sorry about your, you know, and your...
Piss off, Bernard.
Right.
Don't let Bernard get to you. It's all performance art. Rhetoric. They used to teach it in school in the ancient times, like PE.
I don't care to be ravished by the dustbin man. The what of the lunatic?
The Testament of the Lunatic serves as a caution against French fashion, for it was Frenchified mathematics that led him to the melancholy certitude of a world without light or life. As a wooden stove, it must consume itself until both stove and ash are as one, and all heat is gone from the earth. He died aged 27 years, hoary as Job and meagre as a cabbage stalk, the proof of his prediction, even yet unyielding to his labours for the restitution of hope through good English algebra.
That's it.
Anything in it?
What, we're all doomed? Sure, it's the second law of thermodynamics.
Was it known about?
By poets and lunatics for time immemorial.
Seriously.
No.
So it doesn't have anything to do with, you know, Thomasina's discovery.
She didn't discover anything.
Her lesson book.
No.
Coincidence then.
What is?
He died aged 27 years. That was in 1834. That means he was born in 1787. So was the tutor. He says so in the letter he wrote to Lord Croom when he recommended himself for the job. Date of birth, 1787. The hermit was born the same year as Septimus Hodge.
Did Bernard bite him in the leg?
Don't you see? I thought my hermit was a public symbol, an idiot in the landscape, but this is better. The age of enlightenment banished into the romantic wilderness. The genius of Sidley Park living on in a hermitage.
You don't know that.
I do. Somewhere there will be something. If only I can find it.
expecting to be locked out. What time is it?
5:30.
That is what I have. Well, what a bracing experience. The dawn, you know, unexpectedly lively. Fishes, birds, frogs, rabbits, and all so beautiful. If only it did not occur so early in the day. I have brought Lady Thomasina a rabbit. Will you take it?
It's dead.
I know. Lady Thomasina loves a rabbit pie.
You were missed, Mr. Hodge.
I decided to spend last night in the boathouse. Did I see a carriage leaving the park?
Captain Price's carriage with Mr. and Mrs. Chater also.
Gone?
Yes, sir. And Lord Byron's horse was brought round at 4 o'clock.
But I have his rabbit pistols. What am I to do with his rabbit pistols?
You were looked for in your room.
In my room?
By her ladyship. I will tell her ladyship you have returned.
Gentlemen, did Lord Byron leave a book for me?
A book?
He had the loan of a book from me.
His lordship left nothing in his room, sir. Not a coin.
I'm sure if he had had one, he would have left one. Gentlemen, here is a half guinea for you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Gentlemen, what has occurred?
The servants are told nothing, sir.
Come, gentlemen. Does a half guinea buy nothing anymore?
Her ladyship encountered Mrs. Chater in the night.
Where?
On the threshold of Lord Byron's room.
Which leaving and which entering?
Mrs. Chater was leaving Lord Byron's room.
And where was Mr. Chater?
Mr. Chater and Captain Bryce were drinking cherry brandy. They had the footman keep the fire up until 3 o'clock. There was loud altercation upstairs, and...
Well, Mr. Hodge,
My lady.
all this to shoot a hare?
A rabbit. No, indeed, a hare, though very rabbit-like.
My illusion?
Yes, my lady.
How dare you?
I cannot be called to account for what was written in private and read without regard to propriety.
Addressed to me.
Left in my room in the event of my death.
What earthly use is a love letter from beyond the grave?
As much, I am sure, as from this side of it. The second letter, however, was not addressed to your ladyship.
I have a mother's right to open a letter addressed by you to my daughter, whether in the event of my life, my death, or my imbecility. What do you mean by writing to her of rice pudding when she has just suffered the shock of violent death in our midst?
Whose death?
Yours, you wretch.
Yes, I see.
I do not know which is the matter of your ravings. One envelope full of rice pudding, the other of the most insolent familiarities regarding several parts of my body, but have no doubt which is the more intolerable to me.
Wait.
Oh, aren't we saucy when our bags are packed? Your friend has gone on before you, Mr. Hodge, and I have dispatched the Hollage Chater and her husband, and also my brother, for bringing them here. Such, you see, is the sentence for choosing unwisely in your acquaintance. Banishment. Lord Byron is a rake and hypocrite, and the sooner he sails for the Levant, the sooner he shall find society congenial to his character.
It has been a night of reckoning.
Indeed. I wish it had passed uneventfully with you and Mr. Chater shooting each other with the decorum due to a civilized house. You have no secrets left, Mr. Hodge. They have spilled out between shrieks and oaths and tears.
I'm afraid I have no knowledge of what has occurred.
Your trollop was discovered in Lord Byron's room.
Discovered by Mr. Chater.
Who else?
My lady, I am sorry for having brought my unworthy friend to your notice. You have to give an account of himself to me, you may be sure.
I will do it.
Yes, my lady. Lord Byron left a letter for you with the valet, sir.
Thank you.
When did he do so?
As he was leaving, my lady.
Allow me.
I do not know if it is proper for you to receive a letter written in my house from someone from someone not welcome in it.
Very improper, I agree. Lord Byron's want of delicacy is a grief to his friend, among whom I no longer count myself. I will not read his letter until I have followed him through the gates.
That may excuse the reading, but not the writing.
Your lady should have lived in Athens or Pericles, the philosophers who had fought sculptors for your idle hour.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh. Really?
Now, there's a thing. A letter written by Lord Byron, never to be read by a living soul. I will take my leave, madam, at the time of your desiring.
To the Indies?
The Indies? Why?
To follow the Chater, of course. She did not tell you.
She did not exchange half a dozen words with me.
I expect she did not like to waste the time. The Chater sails with Captain Bryce.
As member of the crew?
No, as wife to Mr. Chater, plant gatherer to my brother's expedition in Martinique.
I knew he was no poet. I did not know it was botany under the false colours.
He is no more a botanist. My brother paid £50 to have him published, and he will pay £150 to have him picking flowers in the Indies for a year while the wife plays mistress of the captain's quarters. Captain Bryce has fixed his passions on Mrs. Chater.
Her passion is not as fixed as his.
It is a defect of God's humor that he directs our hearts everywhere, but to those who have a right to them.
Indeed, madam. But is Mr. Chater deceived?
He insists on it, and finds proof of his wife's virtue in his eagerness to defend it. Captain Bryce is not deceived, but he cannot help himself. He would die for her.
I think, my lady, you would have Miss Chater die for her.
Indeed. I never knew a woman worth the duel or the other way about. Your conduct, your letter to me goes very ill with your conduct to Mrs. Chater, Mr. Hodge. I have had experience of being betrayed before the ink is dry, but before the pen is even dipped, and with the village notice board, what am I to think of such a performance?
My lady, I was alone with my thoughts in the gazebo when Mrs. Chater ran me to ground, and I, being in such a passion, in an agony of unrelieved desire,
Oh,
I thought in my madness that the Chater, with her skirts over her head, would give me the momentary illusion of the happiness to which I dared not put a face.
I do not know when I have received a more unusual compliment, Mr. Hodge. I hope I am more than a match to Mrs. Chater with her head in a bucket. Does she wear drawers?
She does.
Yes, I have heard drawers are being worn now. It is unnatural for women to be got up like jockeys. I cannot approve. I know nothing of Pericles or the Athenian philosophers. I can spare them an hour in my sitting room when I have bathed.
Arcadia, Sex, Literature, and Death at Sidley Park. Catch title. Picture of Byron.
Not of Bernard.
Byron thought fatal duel says dog. Valentine, do you think I'm the first person to think of this?
No.
I haven't said yet. The universe is a program-like computer. That's a proper theory, isn't it?
The deterministic universe, yes.
Right, because we're all just a lot of atoms bouncing off of each other like billiard balls.
Yes, there was someone, forget his name, who pointed out that from Newton's laws you could predict everything to come. I mean, you need a computer as big as the universe, but the formula would exist.
But it doesn't work, does it?
No, it turns out the maths is different.
No. It's all because of sex.
Really?
Well, that's what I think. The universe is deterministic, all right, just like Newton said. The only thing going wrong is people fancying people who aren't supposed to be in that part of the plan.
Ah, the attraction Newton left out. All the way back to the apple in the garden. Yes. Yes, I think you're the first person to think of this.
Have you seen this?
Bonking Byron, shot pelt, ooh, that's C.
He's done awfully well, hasn't he? How did they all know?
Don't be ridiculous. Your father wants it back.
All right.
What a fool.
Jealous. I think he's brilliant. Oh, that's perfect, but not with sneakers. I'll lend you a pair of flashes instead of a period on you.
Hello, Gus. You all look so romantic.
Are you coming?
You don't think she's getting a thing for Bernard, do you?
Wouldn't worry about Chloe. She's old enough to vote on her back. Byron fought fatal duel, says Don.
It all may prove to be true.
Can't prove to be true. It can only prove not to be false yet.
Just like science.
If Byron can stay ahead of Bernard and get ahead of getting the rod pulled till he's dead, he'll be a success.
Just like science.
Personally, I don't think it'll take that long.
And then there's the afterlife. An afterlife would be a mixed blessing. Oh, Bernard Nightingale, I don't believe you've met Lord Byron. Must be heaven up there.
You can't believe in an afterlife, Valentine.
Huh. You're going to disappoint me at last.
Am I? Why?
Science and religion.
No. Been there. Done that.
How?
Boring.
Hannah. Fiancé. How pity. Can't we have a trial marriage? I'll call it off in the morning.
I don't know when I've received a more unusual proposal.
Have you had many?
That would be telling.
Well, why not? Your classical reserve is only a mannerism and neurotic.
Do you want the room?
You get nothing if you give nothing.
I ask nothing.
No. Stay. Stay.
What are you doing?
The set of points on a complex plane made by the number
Is it
of...
the grass?
Ah, the grouse. The damned grouse.
You mustn't give up that.
Why? I thought you agreed with Bernard.
That. It's all trivial. Your grouse, my hermit, Bernard Byron. Comparing what we're looking for misses the point. It's wanting to know that makes us matter, otherwise we're going out the way we came in. That's why you can't believe in an afterlife, Valentine. Believe in the after by all means, but not the life. Believe in God, the spirit, the soul, the infinite. Believe in angels if you like, but not the great celestial get-together for an exchange of views. If the answers are in the back of the book, I can wait. What a drag. Better to struggle on knowing that failure is final. How beautiful.
The cavalry set.
The cavalry set. Goodness, Val.
Lend me your finger. Thank you. See? In an ocean of ashes, islands of order. Patterns making themselves out of nothing. I can't show you how deep it goes. Each picture is a detail of the previous one, blown up, and so on, forever. Pretty nice, huh?
Is it important?
Interesting, publishable.
Well done.
It's not mine. It's Thomasina's. I just pushed her numbers through the computer a few million times further than she managed to do with her pencils. You can have it back now.
Well, what does it mean?
Not what you'd like it to.
Why not?
Well, for one thing, she'd be famous.
No, she wouldn't. She didn't have time to be famous. She died.
She died?
Burned to death.
Oh, the girl who died in the fire.
The night before her 17th birthday. You can see where the dormer doesn't match her. The room is there under the roof. There's a memorial in the park.
I know. My house.
Val, Septimus was her tutor. He and Thomasina.
You do yours.
You swore! You crossed your heart!
Oh, Ma! Oh, Ma!
You beast!
Hush! Lord, what is this? Water. Water. I am obliged.
Well, good day to you, Mr. Hodge.
Will you join us this morning, Lord Augustus? We have a drawing lesson today.
I'm a master artist at Eton, Mr. Hodge, but we only draw naked women.
You may work from memory.
Disgusting.
We shall silence that, please.
No marks? Did you not like my rabbit equation?
I saw no resemblance to a rabbit.
It eats its own progeny.
I did not see that.
I had not room to extend it.
So the world is saved after all.
No, it's still doomed. But if this is how it started, perhaps it's how the next one will come.
From good English algebra.
So, it will go to infinity, or zero, or nonsense.
No, if you set apart the minus roots, they square back to sense.
Listen, you know your tea's getting cold.
I like it cold.
No, I'm telling you something. Your tea gets cold by itself. It doesn't get hot by itself. Do you think that's odd?
No.
Well, it is odd. Heat goes to cold. It's a one-way street. Your tea will end up at room temperature. What's happening to your tea is happening to everything, everywhere. The sun, the stars. It'll take a while, but we're all going to end up at room temperature. When your hermit set up shop, no one understood this, but let's say you're right. In 18 whatever, no one knew more about heat than this scribbling nutter living in a hovel in Derbyshire.
He was a Cambridge, a scientist.
Say he was. I'm not arguing. And the girl was his pupil. She had a genius for a tutor.
Or the other way round.
Anything you like, but not this. Whatever he thought he was doing to save the world with good English algebra, it wasn't this.
Why? Because they didn't have calculators.
No. Well, yes. Because there's an order. Things can't happen. You can't open a door till there's a house.
I thought that's what genius was.
Only for lunatics and poets.
I had a dream, which was not all a dream. The bright sun was extinguished, and the stars did wander darkling in the eternal space, rayless and pathless, and the icy earth swung blind and blackening in the moonless air.
You're out.
Byron!
Septimus, do you think I will marry Lord Byron?
Who is he?
He is the author of Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, most poetical and pathetic and bravest hero of any book I ever read before, and the most modern and the handsomest. For Harold is Lord Byron himself to those who know him, like myself and Septimus. Well, Septimus?
No.
Why not?
For one thing, he is not aware of your existence.
Well, it is hardly 3 years since he was last at Sydney Park, at which time we exchanged many significant glances.
Lord Byron, he claimed my hair, although my shot was earlier. He said I missed by a hair's breadth. His conversation is very facetious, but I think Lord Byron will not marry you, Tom, if he was only lame and not blind.
We will have silence now, if you please. It is intolerable for a tutor to have a slot interrupted by his pupil.
You are not my tutor, sir. I am visiting your lesson by my free will.
If you are so determined, my lord.
Your peace is nothing to me, sir. You do not rule over me.
Augustus.
I do not rule here, my lord. I inspire my reverence with the exaltation of knowledge, whereby man may approach God. There will be a shilling prize for the best cone and pyramid, drawn in silence by a quarter to 12 today.
You will not buy my silence for a shilling, sir. What I know to tell is worth much more than that.
I told him you kissed me, but he will not tell.
When did I kiss you?
What? Yesterday.
Where?
On the lips.
In which county?
In the Hermitage, Septimus.
On the lips in the hermitage? That was not a shilling kiss. I would not give 6pence to have it back. I'd almost forgotten already.
Oh, cruel. Have you forgotten our compact?
God save me. Our compact?
To teach me to waltz. Sealed with a kiss and a second kiss due when I can dance like Mamma.
Yes, indeed. We were all waltzing like mice in London.
I must learn to waltz, Septimus. I will be despised if I do not waltz. It is the most fashionable and gayest and boldest invention conceivable. Started in Germany.
Let them have the waltz. They cannot have the characters.
Mamma has brought from town a whole book of waltzes for the Broadwood to play with Count Zelinsky.
I should not be told what I cannot but suffer. Count Zelinsky, banging on the Broadwood all day, has been reading in waltz time.
Mamma is in love with the Count.
He's Count of Poland. In Derbyshire, he's a piano tuner.
Oh, stuff. What is your book?
It is a prize essay by the Scientific Academy in Paris. The author deserves your indulgence, my lady, for you are his puppet.
I? What does he write about? The waltz?
Yes, he demonstrates the propagation of heat in the solid body. But in doing so, he has created heresy, a natural contradiction of Sir Isaac Newton.
Oh, he contradicts determinism.
No. Well, perhaps. He shows that the atoms do not go according to Newton.
Let me see.
Oh, where's Gust?
But no.
Oh, what a damnable noise!
Damn.
Big note!
He was there not long ago.
Hello!
He has to be in the photograph. Is he dressed?
Is Bernard back?
No, he's late.
Gust! I wonder you can teach against such a disturbance, Mr. Hodge, and I am sorry for it.
Stop ordering everyone about.
It is an unendurable noise!
The photographer will wait.
What are we learning today? Well, not manners.
We are drawing today.
Geometry. I approve of geometry.
Your ladyship's approval is my constant object.
Well, do not dismerit it. For the widow's dowry of dahlias, I can almost forgive my brother's marriage. We must be thankful the monkey bit Mr. Chater. Had it bit Mrs. Chater, the monkey would be dead, and we would not be the first in the kingdom to show a dahlia.
Well, just as I said, Newton's machine is incomplete. Determinism leaves the road at every corner, as I knew all along. And the cause is very likely hidden in this gentleman's observation.
Of what?
The action of bodies and heat.
Is this geometry?
This? No, I despise geometry. Mountains are not pyramids, and trees are not cones. God must love gunnery and architecture if Euclid is his only geometry. There's another geometry which I am engaged in discovering by trial and error. Am I not, Septimus?
Trial and error perfectly describe your enthusiasm, my lady.
How old are you today?
16 years and 11 months, Mamma, and 3 weeks.
16 years and 11 months, and 3 weeks. We must have you married before you are educated beyond eligibility.
going to marry Lord Byron.
Are you? He did not have the manners to mention it.
You've spoken to him.
Certainly not.
Where did you see him?
Everywhere.
The Empress of Irregularity.
Miss Noakes,
Your ladyship,
what have you done to me?
everything is satisfactory, I assure you. A little behind, to be sure, but my dam will be repaired within the month.
Hush! Can you hear, Miss Noakes?
The improved Newcomen steam pump, the only one in England.
That is what I object to. If everybody had his own, I would bear my portion of the agony without complaint. But to have been singled out by the only improved Newcomen steam pump in England, this is hard, ma'am. This is not to be borne.
Your lady-
And for what? My lady shrinks to a ditch for no purpose I can understand. What you painted as forest is a mean plantation. Your greenery is mud. Your waterfall is wet mud. And your mount is an open cast mine for the mud that is lacking in the dell. What is that cow shed?
The Hermitage, my lady.
It is a cow shed.
It is, I assure you, a very capital cottage, properly founded and framed, 2 rooms and a closet under the slate roof and a stone chimney.
And who is to live in it?
Why, the hermit.
Where is he?
Madam?
You surely do not supply a hermitage without a hermit.
Indeed,
Come,
madam.
come, Miss Noakes. If I am promised a fountain, I expect it to come with water. What hermits do you have?
I have no hermits, my lady.
Not one? I am speechless.
I am sure a hermit can be found. One could advertise
Advertise!
in the newspapers.
But surely a hermit who takes a newspaper is not a hermit in whom one can have complete confidence.
I do not know what to suggest, my lady.
Miss Noakes, bad news from Paris.
Is it the Emperor Napoleon?
No, it concerns your heat engine. Improve it as you will, you can never get out of it what you put in. It repays 11 pence in the shilling at most. A penny is for the author's thought.
Thank you, my lady.
Do you understand her?
No.
Then this business is over. I was married at 17.
What does it mean, Miss Noakes' engine pays 11 pence in the shilling? Where does he say it?
He doesn't. I noticed it by the way. Can't remember now.
Nor is he interested by determinism.
Oh yes, Newton's equations go forward and backward. They don't care which way. But the heat equation, it cares very much. It goes only one way. That's the reason Miss Noakes' engine cannot give the power to drive Miss Noakes' engine.
Everybody knows that.
Yes, Septimus. They know it about engines.
A quarter to 12. For your essay this week, explicate your diagram.
I do not understand the mathematics.
Without the mathematics, then.
There. I have made a drawing of you and Plautus.
Excellent likeness. Not so good of me.
Checkmate.
Sir,
My lord, what is it?
I gave you offense, sir, and I'm sorry for it.
I took none, my lord, but you were kind to mention it.
I would like to ask you a question, Mr. Hodge. You have an elder brother, I dare say, being a Septimus?
Yes, my lord. He lives in London. He is the editor of a newspaper, the Piccadilly Recreation. Was that your question?
No.
Oh,
Is it you? I would like to keep it. There are such things a fellow cannot ask his friends. Carnal things. My sister has told me. My sister believes such things as I cannot, I assure you, bring myself to repeat.
you must not repeat them then. The walk from here to dinner will suffice if we stroll through the garden. And then I must rely on you to correct your sister's state ignorance.
Oh no, bloody hell!
Thank you, Mr. Portrait.
Oh no, screwed by a dahlia!
Sorry, Bernard.
What does it really amount to when all's said and done? Am I screwed? Is it open and shut? What do you think, Valentine? Am I screwed?
You're screwed.
Oh God, does it mean that?
Yes, Bernard. I'm afraid it does.
Well, show me where it says. I want to read it. No, you read it to me. No. Right.
October 1st, 1810. The Dahlia, having propagated under glass with no ill effect from the sea voyage, is named by Captain Bryce Charity for his bride, though the honour properly belonged to the husbandman, who exchanged beds with my Dahlia, and an English summer, everlasting nights in the Indies.
Well, it's so round for the houses, isn't it? Who's to say what it means?
It means that the Ezra Chater of the Sydney Park connection is the same Chater who described the dwarf Dahlia in Martinique in 1810 and died there of a monkey bite.
Ezra wasn't a botanist, he was a poet!
He wasn't much of either, but he was both.
It's not a disaster, Bernard.
Of course it's a disaster! I was on the breakfast hour!
It doesn't mean Byron didn't fight a duel, it only means Chater wasn't killed in it.
Oh, pull yourself together. Do you think I'd have been on the breakfast hour if Byron would have missed?
Calm down, Bernard. Sal's right.
You think so? Yes, the Piccadilly Reviews. 2 unknown Byron essays and the 4 lines he penciled into Lady Croom's copy of English Bards and Scotch Reviewers. That counts for something, doesn't it?
Yes, it's possible. Persuasive, indeed.
Oh, bugger persuasive. I proved he was here and he wrote those lines as sure as he shot that hare. Oh, if only I hadn't made it all about killing Chater. Why didn't you stop me? It's bound to get out, you know. This gloss on my discovery. How long do you think it'll be before some botanical pedant blows the whistle on?
The day after tomorrow. A letter in the Times.
You wouldn't.
It's a dirty job, but somebody...
Darling, sorry. Hannah.
And after all, it is my discovery.
Hannah.
Bernard.
Hannah.
Shut up. To be very short, very dry, absolutely gloat-free. Would you rather for one of your friends?
Oh, good God, no.
And then your letter to the Times.
Mine?
Oh, dignified congratulations to the colleague. In the language of scholars, I trust.
Oh. Up yours, you mean?
Think of it as a breakthrough in Dahlia's study.
Why aren't you coming? Bernard, and you're not dressed. How long have you been back?
Why are you wearing those clothes?
Do be quick. Just put anything on. Throbbing photograph. Except.
Oh, I'll come and watch.
Mummy says, have you got the deodorant?
What's he supposed to be, Claire? Bo Peep?
Jane Austen.
Of course.
Oh, I left it in the Hermitage. Sorry.
I thought it wasn't till tomorrow. What photograph?
The local paper, of course. They always come before we start. We want a good crowd of us. Gus looks gorgeous.
The newspaper. I'm ready.
My lady, what is it?
Septimus, shush. Now is our chance.
For what, dear God?
Not act the innocent. Tomorrow I will be 17. There.
Dear God.
Now you are paid in advance. You must show me.
Oh.
The Count plays for us. It is God-given. I cannot be 17 and not waltz.
But your mother.
While she swoons, we can dance. Septimus, teach me now.
Hush, I cannot now.
Indeed you can. And I am come barefoot, so mind my toes.
I cannot because it is not a waltz.
It is not?
No, too slow for waltzing.
Then we will wait for him to play quicker.
My lady.
Mr. Hodge. Are you reading my essay? Why do you work here so late?
To save my candles.
You have my old primer.
It is mine again. You should not have written it.
It was a joke.
It will make me mad as you promised. Sit over there. You will have us in this grave.
If Mama comes in, I will tell her we only met to kiss, not to waltz.
Silence or then.
Silence.
Got it. It's heat.
Are you tight, Val?
It's a diagram of heat exchange.
So, we are all doomed.
Yes.
Like a steam engine, you see. She didn't have the maths, not remotely, but she saw what things meant, way ahead, like seeing a picture.
This isn't science. This is storytelling.
Is this a waltz?
No.
Like a film.
What did she see?
That you can't run the film backwards. Heat was the first thing which didn't work this way, not like Newton. A film of a ball falling through the air, or a pencil. Backwards, it would look the same.
The ball would be going the wrong way.
You'd have to know that. But with heat, friction, a ball break in a window,
Yes.
it wouldn't work backwards.
Who thought it did?
She saw what? You can gather up the bits of glass, but you can't collect up the heat of the smash. It's gone.
So the improved Newtonian universe must cease and grow cold. Dear me.
The heat goes into the mix.
Yes. We must hurry if we are going to dance.
And everything is mixing the same way, all the time, irreversibly.
Oh, we have time, I think.
But there's no time left. That's what time means.
When we have found all the mystery and lost all the meaning, we will be alone on an empty shore.
Then we will dance. Is this a waltz?
It will serve.
Goody.
Oh, don't mind me. I just left my jacket.
Are you leaving?
Yes, unfortunately.
What's up, Bernard?
Nothing that I can go into.
Ah, shall I leave?
No. I'm going.
My lady.
Who's Septimus?
I'll kill her! I'll kill her!
Oh dear.
What the hell is it, Claire?
Mummy,
Your mother caught us in that cottage.
she snooped.
I don't think so. She was rescuing a theodolite.
I'll come with you, Bert.
No, you bloody won't.
Don't you want me to?
Of course not. What for? Sorry.
What are you saying sorry to him for?
Sorry to you too. Sorry one and all. Sorry Hannah. Sorry Hermione. Sorry Byron. Sorry. Can I go now?
What a bastard you are, Bernard.
And you mind your own business. What do you know about anything anyway?
Nothing.
Well, it was worth it, wasn't it?
It was wonderful.
Nothing.
Well, you bastard. I tried it myself, but I'm a bit lost. Right. No!
A script.
Bernard.
I look forward to the genius of the place. I hope you find your hermit. I expect out front will be the safest.
Actually, I think I know who he was. But I can't prove it.
Publish!
Am I waltzing?
Yes, my lady. Here. Take your essay. I've given it to Alpha in blind faith. Be careful with flame.
I will wait for you to come.
I cannot.
You may.
I may not.
You must.
I will not.
Then I will not go. Once more, for my birthday.
You make me jump.
Septimist holding Loudjess. I was looking for this.
Thank you.
No, I don't step.